Good afternoon. Um, I'm here to talk about just one idea today, just so that it keeps it really simple and we understand one area of our life that really controls 95% of our results on a daily basis. And some people may argue 85%, some might argue 98%. Let's just stick to 95% and find all the research, the science that proves that 95% of our conditioned operating system in our subconscious mind gives us our results on a daily basis. What is that? We call it a paradigm. What is a paradigm? Well, a paradigm is a it's just a collection of fixed ideas that are set in our subconscious mind that we've collected along our journey in life. The journey in life, when we arrive on the planet, we're completely ignorant of our environment that we were living in and that we grew into. Then we pick up thoughts, ideas, habits, routines, self image, attitude, the belief system that we operate from. We inherit that or we accrue it as we go through the journey of life. Some of that serves us. And what I want to show you today is that um, our results. So I wrote this here this morning. It says um, the results that we're getting in our life are a direct reflection of what's going on inside of us. And until we change the inside, our results won't change. So the concept is that if we want to create meaningful change in our life, it's not about the behavior, it's about the operating system that is causing the behavior that gives us our results. So where does it start? Well, it starts by re-evaluating who we think we are, the concept of self, our self-image. It starts with re-evaluating the assumptions we've come to of who we think we are, because our assumptions will create expectations. Our expectations will cause us to behave in certain ways, to make certain decisions, because we have this expectation. And often those assumptions and those expectations don't serve us if you're brutally honest with yourself. So I just want to share a diagram with you. And let me just change my screen here to help create some order in the mind. Just to give you, so no one has ever seen the mind. So a gentleman by the name of Dr. Thurman Fleet, I'll just open that up a bit. He created a image of the mind so that we can have some order. So let's say that this is our mind. It's not our mind, but let's just say for this this idea that this is our mind, and oh my word, that wasn't meant to happen. Technical glitch. All right, there we go. So we'll start again. This is our mind. It's not our mind, but we'll use it for this demonstration here. So if we say that this is our body, which is the physical manifestation of our mind, and that our mind, if we just say that there is a hemisphere, there's a top half and a bottom half, and the top half, we just say for this purpose, and I know that psychologists will argue that there are many parts of the mind, and that's probably very true, but for this, for a business practical corporate idea where we can use it in our businesses to multiply the results that we want to get in our business, this is a fundamental idea to grasp, because once you grasp it, then you can teach it to the people in your business, or when people are talking to you, you can understand where they're coming from. So let's say that this is our conscious mind and this is our subconscious mind. All right, the conscious mind is your thinking mind, or it's your rational mind. This is where you've got your superpower, which is your imagination. that helps you create new ideas, originate new ideas. All right. So what happens? Let's say that you have, and on your heart, there is this fantasy of an impossible idea that you've got. It doesn't leave you alone, but you're suppressing it because your reasoning mind, and I'll just bring that in a bit. This is your reasoning mind is down here, and your logic is down in practical parts of life that you've got to logically think about things in your conscious mind. You've got to think about it. Or you could start to use your imagination to find better ideas, alternative ideas, revolutionary ideas that will transform your business so that you create an operating system in your business in a competitive market that continues to outgrow your competitors. You create enormous value in your business so that when you want to go and sell, it's for multiples, not just for the meager amount that most, if it's a small business like I had, that most business values will give it, price it at a lawnmower business versus a business that has contracts that has value. Okay, and or if you're in the corporate space and you are a leader of a section of the business and you've got and it's a ridiculous idea, but you can see it fitting in the organization, the whole organization, transforming the whole organization. But your logic and your reason is telling you to hold back. And I'll explain why that happens to people. So if we recognize that our imagination is our superpower, that it enables us, say, for instance, an entrepreneur who is wired to think outside of this kind of comfort zone, that's how they're wired. They're wired to think outside and they're wired to imagine. That's what an entrepreneur does. That's their superpower. But every one of us has that. So if you're a business owner that is practical, you've got a skill, and then you've built a business around that skill, you've got people employed, you can still use your imagination to make that business absolutely rock. And if you're in the corporate space, the problem with the corporate space is that it reveres the pragmatic, logical, reasonable, reasoning mind. That's why it's filled up with, MBAs and, guys with management degrees and guys with, accountants and all these really intelligent, well-skilled people. Great. The business needs them to operate with. They need to make the business operate, to buy things at the right price and sell things at the right place. We need those people. But a business, if it wants to survive longer than most businesses, needs to understand the value of the thinker, the person who can imagine how to do things better and then bring that into the corporation. That's really important. The entrepreneur, when they can function and learn to articulate that impossible goal, the one that they don't know how to get to, but they have a system to get to it, then they disrupt whole industries. That's what happens. So we all have that superpower, but you have to learn how to exercise. We actually have 6 superpowers in our conscious mind, and they come free to us, but we're not taught to use them at school. But let's just stick to the imagination. All right. So let's say you hold that picture. Every one of us has got this fantasy, this impossible goal. It's impossible because you don't know how to get it right now. Okay, and that's what your reasoning mind says. You can't get there because you don't know how to get there. There's a disconnect between this imagined place over here and what you understand, which is within your comfort zone here. Okay, we get that. There's also a really, really important concept to grasp that I call this here my blue sky quadrant. Okay, it's got 4 quadrants. Q1 is this is the past. You've got to learn to let the past go. And this is all the good stuff, all your success. And you've heard them. I've got to learn to spell. Okay, all your success. You hear the people. This is what I did. This is my past success. What the problem with that, if this is your future, then their conscious mind is stuck here. I'm going to change the color. Change the color. Okay. So if their conscious mind is stuck here and your subconscious is your emotional mind, your subconscious and you're emotionally involved with your past success. When I was at school, I played for this rugby team, then I played for that rugby team, or I was a salesman in this business and this is what I achieved, and so on and so on. You're not consciously thinking about your future or emotionally involved with your future. That's the problem with that thinking. Then we go down to this idea, and down here we've got quadrant 2, which is the past bad. And what is the past bad? Well, there's all your failures. Who hasn't failed? I love the idea of an aircraft with its autopilot. The aircraft, if it takes off from Brisbane to fly to Perth, that's, I don't know, 5 hours or whatever it is. It is auto-correcting all the way to Perth because of wind and you name it, and the world's spinning, I think. Anyway, so the past bad is your failures. And what happens with failures is that if you are emotionally involved, why won't you work? Emotionally involved, or you're consciously reminding yourself of your past failures, again, you're not thinking about the future. You're not emotionally involved with the future. And on top of it, we all have those wonderful people that believe they are ordained by a higher power to remind us with their opinion about your past failures, and you never feel good. So everything down here doesn't feel good. You're in the wrong quadrant when you're either in Q2 or Q3. Q3 is the drama of life. Now, the drama of life will present problems on a daily basis. Now, you can view problems as a problem, and then you can use your logic and reason, your forebrain, your conscious mind, to methodically work through the problem and exhaust yourself, because then the next problem comes. Then you exhaust yourself. Then the next problem comes. Or you can say, okay, that's the challenge. That's where we have to go through to get to the other side. Then I focus on Q4, which is what's possible. All right. So when we focus on what's possible, now we're tapping into the higher side of your personality. When you are tapping into what's possible, you are now starting to let go of some of the frustration that you find down here with the logic and reason, and you're starting to imagine of what is possible. Then what happens is, let me change the color again. Then what happens is you start to come up with ideas. Now, I find that fascinating. Where do ideas come from? Where do ideas come from? I believe that we all have a higher side of our personality. I believe we've come to this planet, we're infinite beings having a human experience. And whether that doesn't resonate with you or not, just hear me out, because what happens when we start to connect with the higher side of ourselves, we start to feel better because the higher side of ourselves, we came here for a purpose, and that higher side of us, call it your soul, call it your source of supply, you start to feel good when you start to live in this quadrant here. Okay. So what is the relevance of this to the whole concept of if you change your current paradigm, you will get different results? So here's what happens. You imagine what it is that you want, and eventually you actually are able to impress that new idea onto your subconscious mind, your emotional mind, where your paradigm resides. This is where collection of fixed ideas, the habits, the routines, the belief system that you're operating with, the self-image, your attitude are all down here, subconscious. You don't think about it. You don't consciously, you're not aware of the decisions, most of the decisions that you're making. And again, we say 95% of our results, because our emotional mind causes our body to act, and it's our body that's acting that causes us to behave in a certain way, equals our results. Okay, so if you take that and you say, okay, well, if that's the case, if I learn to reprogram the poor performing parts of my paradigm, the parts of my paradigm that I inherited in the environment that I grew up with, ideas around money. Have you ever heard of the idea that money doesn't grow on trees? And maybe that's deep within you. Or people who make lots of money have done something wrong, that they can't be trusted. Have you ever heard of that? Well, I speak to a lot of people that I coach, and often money paradigms pop up. That's what's keeping them from earning the money that they genuinely want to earn, because their subconscious is blocking and saying, you can't earn lots of money because you don't believe that you can be honest and earn a reasonable income, or build a business to the size you want. You have to be devious, and that goes against who you believe you are. So there's a conflict there that needs to be unblocked. So what can you do? Well, what you can do is create new rules. Okay, up here. So let's just clear this a bit. So you create new rules, a new boundary, new standards, all right, new standards for your life, and you start to build a new paradigm. From this place that you imagine you want to move to, this impossible place, this goal that you have within you, but it's not seen the light of day because your logic and reason is smashing it. Your logic and reason is making the argument about your past failures, or the risk to your reputation, or your mortgage if your business is tied to your mortgage, and so on. It'll make all these arguments, but the only way you can make a step change is through the shifting of the paradigm that you're currently operating with. Nothing's going to change if you continue to do what you're doing on your own right now. Nothing's going to change until you learn how to effectively shift your paradigm. You will continue to get the same results on a continuous basis, and you will stay. You will grow incrementally. But if you think that that's going to excite you with life, if you are going to fix all the problems yourself without being able to tap into the higher side of your personality, which is up here, which is around that goal that's been placed on your heart for a reason, then you're just going to get bored down here. This is boredom. This is mundane. This is pragmatic 10% growth every year. And yes, you will grow. But if you start to shift your paradigm in here, and you start to develop a new paradigm from the person who you believe this person needs to be, you will move to where you want to go quicker. The number one priority in my life and for the entrepreneurs and business owners and executives that I work with is time is number one priority. Why drag it out? I've never understood, why would you want to work for 40 years so that you can retire? Why don't you do it quicker? Why would you buy that idea? Why would you allow yourself to be sold an idea that you're going to do a certain amount of repetitive work over a career? You don't have to do that. You can condense it. If you stay here, then yes, it will continue to go. And if this is where you want to stay, in this comfort zone here, that's the limits of what you believe is possible for you right now, which is quite a interesting idea, because when you were born, you were completely ignorant. Okay, ignorant. Let me draw that for you. Move this over. All right. So we are all ignorant of the things that we don't understand right now. It's not when you move into a new area of your life that you should consider that you have imposter syndrome. What is imposter syndrome? It's just a made up thing. We're all ignorant of certain areas of life, but you can change that. You don't have to accept the idea of being an imposter syndrome addict. Okay, so let's say that we are here. Step one, we are ignorant of a certain area of life. Okay, how do we remedy that? Well, we go to step two. We get knowledge. We get knowledge, like learning how to spell. Okay, so we get knowledge. What is that? We impress our memory, our conscious mind, with information, new information. Right, that's step two. But that doesn't mean, and this is a big area where I suppose people have bought this idea. Once we've got the degree, we're all knowing, but it's not true. Um, you don't have to have the degree to be all knowing. You can get the information. It's all free on the internet nowadays. But knowledge is not power. Knowledge is just knowledge. Now, what you do with it, if you start to impress the knowledge into your subconscious mind, so it forms part of your operating system, forms part of your belief system, your self-image, your attitude to life, the habits that you create and the routines you create on a daily basis, then you get understanding. That's when you impress knowledge or info into your subconscious mind. Then there's a fourth step, and the fourth step is wisdom. Well, if you look up what wisdom means, if you search for it, some of the original meanings of wisdom, yes, it's got sage connotation to it, but wisdom really is becoming a skilled carpenter, becoming a skilled financial planner, becoming a skilled leader, becoming a skilled entrepreneur. This is where you apply knowledge, understanding, and you actually take action. Take deliberate and effective action, and you persist with it. I love the story about, I shared this the other day with Sir Edmund Hillary. He went to Everest twice. He went to Nepal twice prior to ever summiting in 53 when he summited Everest. So 2 times before he'd been there. Now, when he had gone there 2 times before, he had picked up knowledge, he had picked up understanding, he had even picked up skill. because he was a climber, so he was picking up those skills. But if it wasn't for one key element, one characteristic in his makeup, was he was persistent. If it wasn't for his persistence in going back and saying, yes, I'll put up my hand, I'll go on that expedition that summited in 53. If he didn't persist, all of this would have been nothing. So there's much to the makeup of who we are. And if you take Hillary's example, he had the dream of, in his conscious mind, in his imagination, of climbing and summiting the tallest mountain on the planet. He had a belief that he could do it in his subconscious mind, and then he took action. And he persisted with that action. So whenever we think that we are not able to do something, if it's on your heart to do, then all you have to do is move from ignorant to knowledge, to understanding, to wisdom. That's all you have to do. And if you use the model that I showed prior to help you create order in your mind, so that you're consciously taking time every day to visit that place in your imagination. And I would recommend, like, goal setting is a subject that I teach every month on a 4-day live event. Goal setting, goal achieving, the whole idea that Bob Proctor taught me for years on the laws of success. The success is just a subject anyone can learn. Okay, it's just knowledge. It's just knowledge and understanding and application of new information. That's all it is. It's taking massive action all the time in the direction of what you want. But to keep you on target is write out your goal twice a day. Just write it out. Write out a short sentence. I am so profoundly happy and grateful now that, write it out. And I would suggest make it a financial goal. Take it out. This is your pocket billboard. You take it out, remind yourself where you're going. Do it at least twice a day. Writing. The writing, when you take a pen and you write something down, this is the wand. What it's taking is, it's taking a thought from your conscious mind and it's putting it into paper. If it's not written, it doesn't exist. All right. So I hope that helps, and I'll be back next week.